Business Matters starts now.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Business Matters. We are at the beautiful Moravian University Foy Hall with four amazing people. You may have heard me say this before, but I know all of you, you're amazing people, and I thank God that you care enough to be involved in this political universe. All right, 30-second opening remarks. Bob Brooks, you chose number one. It's all yours.
Thanks, Tony. My name is Bob Brooks, and I've been a City of Bethlehem firefighter for the last 20 years and a union representative that whole time. I'm the president of the Pennsylvania Professional Firefighters Union. I was raised by a single mother. I have worked multiple jobs at the same time just to pay the bills. I understand what it's like to be a working class person in the Lehigh Valley who's struggling. I am doing this with the endorsements of Governor Josh Shapiro, Senator Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Matt Turk, Pete Schweier, Mike Schlossberg, Nick Miller, and a whole host of organized labor. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I hope you all join us in this fight. We will turn the tide on Donald Trump and fight.
30 seconds. Good job. Very good job. Lamont, McClure, thank you for that.
We are at an inflection point in this nation. Gas over $4, war in Iran, our economy under siege, and we need a leader who has experience acting with courage, taking on Trump, taking on MAGA, and beating ICE. I am that leader, and that's why I'm running to be your next representative for the 7th District in United States Congress.
All right. Carol Obando-Derstine.
I'm Carol Obando-Derstine, and I'm running because I'm fed up and I'm fighting back. I came to this country at 3 years old from Colombia, was raised by union parents, and know firsthand what it means to struggle and to fight. I've spent my whole career helping others get ahead, from preparing young people for jobs to lowering energy costs as an engineer. I am not sitting on the sidelines when Trump is trying to make it feel like it's a crime to be Latino in America. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here.
Ryan, it's all yours.
My name is Ryan Crosswell, and I am running for Congress because I love my country, and I want to stop Donald Trump from ruining what so many Americans have fought and died to protect. I grew up in Pottsville, started working when I was 12, and learned grit and resilience as a wrestler here in the Lehigh Valley. I joined the Marine Corps because of the events of 9/11 and rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel, and I served as a federal prosecutor, prosecuting corrupt politicians. But when Donald Trump tried to force my section to drop the criminal case against Eric Adams, I refused, I resigned, and I fought back. Thank you.
All right, all right. I'm going to start with you, Lamont. So you had another term as county executive, could have done another term. What motivated you? What made you say, I'm getting in this race? And you got in early.
So the chaos that Musk and Trump were sowing at the beginning of Trump's second administration really inspired me to get in this race because I knew I had the experience and the courage to take on Trump and to fight back and to bring the chaos less than a fever pitch, bring that boil down, because that's the kind of thing I do. I've demonstrated leadership during crisis, and I think we can all acknowledge that our nation is in a crisis right now. And I'll give you one example, Tony. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when our small businesses were under siege, in Northampton County, partnering with the Chamber Foundation, we got $25 million into the hands of small businesses. Remember, during COVID, small businesses were getting crushed. And this is so important because half of us work for small businesses. Leadership in crisis is why I ran for Congress.
All right, very good point. Carol Obando, same thing, Derstine, if you will. Same thing, PPL exec, and of course you worked with Senator Casey. You know this universe, but what made you, good job, what made you say I'm jumping in?
I was tired of seeing working families struggle to make ends meet, choose between heating and eating, while Ryan Mackenzie prioritized billionaires. I couldn't sit on the sidelines while I also watched immigrant communities being attacked, being targeted just because of the way we look. I'm not a person that can just sit on the sidelines and watch terror and targeting of communities and watching people struggle to get by, so I had to get in. And I really appreciate that former Congresswoman Susan Wild approached me and she thought I had the best chance at beating Ryan Mackenzie, so I got in. I'm very grateful for her support.
That's what motivated you? Her saying, she wanted you to jump in? She came to you and asked you that?
Yeah, she did ask me to run. She didn't want to do it again, and she thought I had the best chance at beating Ryan Mackenzie, and I said yes, because why not me?
Gotcha. Ryan Crosswell, I know you literally resigned from your job in a very important position because of, in your mind, this president, I believe. You want to talk about that real quickly and how you got in?
Sure. So I worked at the public integrity section where the Trump administration intentionally got rid of when he started his second administration, because we were the cops on the beat for corruption. And before that happened, my colleagues and I were asked to drop the case against Eric Adams because of a quid pro quo. 6 of us refused and resigned. And at that point, I started to fight back. I testified to Congress. I went on national television to explain the abuses of power. My law firm is suing ICE for detaining people illegally. And I jumped in this race because this is more than just about the administration. It's about sycophants in Congress who are spineless, who are not standing up and asserting their role in our constitutional framework.
Bob Brooks, again, same thing, a firefighter. And first of all, you're new at this game, and how did you get the endorsements that you got? I mean, that's unusual for a new candidate. And how important is that relative? Endorsement is one thing. Will your endorsements stump for you? Would you see them coming to the Lehigh Valley?
But in short, Pete Buttigieg was just here, right? He just here, and we filled the brewery downtown. I believe Bernie Sanders is going to come stump. Josh Shapiro has been here and has made commercials. If you guys have seen WFMZ this morning, we're up on air, and that's a good thing. Chris DeLuzio and Josh Shapiro tapped me on the shoulder. They wanted me to look at the numbers, check out what was going on in the race, and at that point in time, I thought I was the best candidate.
Was it a challenge for you having some of your colleagues that you've worked with as the president of the union to consider that?
I wouldn't say a challenge. I would say the right decision.
Gotcha.
That's why I felt that was the right decision. I felt like I had the best shot to go unseat Ryan Mackenzie, and it's solidifying, holding up to my thoughts and beliefs, and you can see that with the coalition that we're building around this.
And for our audience, by this, we have a very fluid conversation. We keep very close track of time, making sure it's equal time. Lamont, I want to ask you about Iran. Where are we? Was it with the terrible power, and did we need to go in? Or, in other words, which approach was best? And the Biden administration was releasing some of which was their money in terms of negotiating. In this particular case, going in and militarily going at it.
So we're talking about Iran? Yep. We should not commit boots on the ground in Iran specifically, and any more in the Persian Gulf. We need to bring our young men and women home now. With respect to Trump's initial decision, I think it was ill-considered and not well thought through, both militarily and economically.
But do you think something had to be done, or do you think we could have negotiated our way through that?
So here's, if I were president and determined based on the intelligence, I would have gone to the American people, I would have gone to Congress, I would have gone to our allies, said what our objectives are, how we can achieve those objectives, and what the end game is. How do you end it? He did not do any of those things, and therefore, no, I don't think it was the right decision, and our troops need to come home now.
Ryan Crosswell, as a Marine, former Marine, or active Marine, actually, your thoughts on that very same subject?
Yeah, so this was done without congressional authorization, without forethought, as Lamont said. So I had a boss that used to say that any member of the military writes a blank check to their country for up to and including the value of their life. I did a meet and greet in Bethlehem and met the parents of a soldier who was at the base at Bahrain, attacked by the Iranians. What do we say to the parents of any people, any of our soldiers that die in Iran? We've had multiple rationalizations, and it happens at a time when we're told we can't afford Medicaid, we can't afford food assistance, and now gas is up $1 in Lehigh Valley because of this war. This is Trump, this is Mackenzie, this is a failure, and we should not be at a war in Iran.
Carol Obando, as you mentioned, as a first generation, your thoughts on immigration, and we went from, some people would say, a wide open door, to have we gone too far, and your thoughts on immigration, you lived it.
Right. We need a reform to the system, because what Trump is doing is targeting people who look like me and my family. I came here at 3 years old. And I had to work to be able to become a citizen when I turned 19. And I still remember what that was like to hold the flag when I became a citizen. And we want opportunities for more people who deserve it to have a pathway to citizenship. We need to reform the system and ensure that's legal, effective, and humane. And I always underscore humane, because I'm seeing a Trump administration, a Trump's ICE that is targeting people because of the way they look. It's unacceptable. So,
Bob Brooks, ICE, viable and gone too far? Or where are you on ICE and DHS?
Gone way too far. We need to reel this all back in. I've been a first responder for 20 some odd years, showing up for the community and fighting for the people in the community. If anybody wants to have a conversation about ICE and and what it does for the community. Like, I'll lead the charge. But that being said, with ICE, we have masked men running around, throwing people in vans. They're killing people, Tony. They're killing people, and that has to end. We have to bring this back. We have to haul these people. Send me to DC. When we get down there, we will haul these people in front of committees. We will get them charged and make them be held accountable.
So we're hearing Lamont is okay with ICE, but just gone too far, needs to be better managed. You lived it, of course, when ICE, you had the issue when you were Northampton County Executive.
Yeah, so if it can't be reformed, it needs to be abolished. And I think I have a chance to reform it. And here's ICE, I mean. And here's why I think that. 6 years ago, in March of 2022, I kicked ICE out of Northampton County Courthouse. I drafted an executive order after an arrest gone wrong made in the courthouse. And I said, this cannot stand. As we now know, these situations can become violent and sometimes, unfortunately, deadly. So I acted immediately to make sure ICE could not arrest anyone in Northampton County Courthouse. That is still the rule of law in the courthouse to this day, as my successor, Tara Zarinsky, is upholding it. I'm very proud of that executive order, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when I have more time. I don't want to get the bell.
I got you, the bell, the dreaded bell. Bob Brooks, and I'm going to go to Carol. I know you're about, having been a firefighter, having been a bartender, you're Mr. Everything, or ordinary, if you will. And I know that the economy or the wealth gap is important to you. A lot of work to do there?
Lot of work to do there. We've been put in such a hole that it's going to take years to come out of. So as a small business owner, on top of being a firefighter union leader, fighting for better wages, better health care, better working conditions, which is all I want to do is expand that out to the everyday people, working class people. But as a small business owner, like I go right now to the pumps and fill up. I have 3 diesel trucks I use for plowing snow. One of the 3 jobs I guess I'm doing if we count running for Congress. It costs me double now to fill those trucks up, and that goes back to Iran, the economy, it goes back to everything. People are paying more right here at home, and we're sending billions of dollars overseas.
Carol Obando, I want to talk to you about that very same thing. I know lifting up, closing the wealth gap, if you will, is important to you.
Yeah, what we need to do is ensure that we focus on the raising wages and lowering costs. So I would first and foremost work on raising the federal minimum wage, because I hear from people all the time, they're struggling to afford the cost of living. Parents are working 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. This is not a personal failure, it's a policy failure. We absolutely need to raise the federal minimum wage, but we also need to focus on lowering costs. We have to overturn these tariffs that are raising the cost of groceries, electronics, and home construction. We need to ensure that we expand tax credits for working families and roll back the tax giveaways to billionaires, because they should be paying their fair share.
Gotcha. Ryan Crosswell, I want to ask you this, and that is, go ahead if you want to clap. Can we, in fact, lift these wages, which is important, and at the same time keep costs down? Is there a balance, I guess, is the question. Some people would say the wages are too high, then we have an issue of relative to the cost of building. Housing is an issue right now, but your thoughts on that? Can we find that balance?
Yeah, but can I first address the ICE thing, because I didn't get a chance to. I have done more as a civilian than Ryan Mackenzie has done as congressman. My law firm is suing ICE for detaining people legally. I have prosecuted immigration officers for violating the law, and I was the border corruption prosecutor in San Diego. As to affordability, it doesn't matter as long as the Trump administration is abusing its power, because it doesn't matter what Congress does if that's not reined in. As a former corruption prosecutor, I have more expertise in Congress than anybody else currently there. Finally, in terms of the balancing, look, this is a problem that cannot be solved with one solution. We need to make education cheaper by having colleges take on a portion of their students' debt. We need to expand the child independent tax care credit. We need to make energy more affordable by renewing the renewable energy credits. And we need a public health care option. Thank you.
Gotcha. Boy, they're all an obedient group, I'll tell you that much. I want to say that. Bob Brooks, should you win, and let's face it, midterms have not been good to sitting presidents for sure. So the next person here could very well be the next congressperson. Are you ready for Washington? Are you ready to get down there? And I mean, you got some heavy hitters down there. You ready for the challenge?
I'm ready for Washington. I've already been working in Washington. So I have written and passed legislation both here in Harrisburg. Post-traumatic stress injury for first responders was mental health coverage under workers' comp for first responders. I've written and passed that bill, something that took us 9 years to get through. Want to know my biggest opponent? Ryan Mackenzie. 9 years. Finally voted yes when he was going to run for Congress. But in DC, I've helped pass the HEROES Act, which is death benefits for people's families that have passed away with cancer from our gear. So I have helped pass that legislation. We have written and passed it. I'm working on something now called the Helper Act, which I would love to get out, expand, which is the VA loan for first responders. But if we can make that work in baby steps, we can expand that out and just get lower interest loans for everybody.
Lamont, McClure, of course, having been county executive, you have a record, and your name visibility is very high. With that comes the fact that you have challenges, whether it would have been with the elder care facility or whatever the case may be, whether it be Graysdale or budget. Your record, you're proud of your record, obviously. You want to speak to that and what that means, having been out there, if you will.
Oh, yeah. So one of the proudest moments in my career was when I was on Northampton County Council. I have so much experience. I was on Northampton County Council for almost a decade, county executive for 8 years. I mean, I've got the courage and experience to do the job. But one of the things that I think is pushing me forward in this race is we've got to restore the $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts, because I know how important that is to Graysdale and Cedarbrook. These two nursing homes are housing nearly 1,000 people who have nowhere else to go. And I need to get to what the first thing I'm going to do is file a bill to restore those $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts so that we can protect the senior citizens of PA7 and specifically make sure Graysdale and Cedarbrook are funded.
Carol Obando-Derstine. Carol Obando-Derstine. So you are the only woman in this race, obviously, and the person of color, if you will. Are you getting encouragement to people say to you, Carol, go for it? You know, do you feel that you're representing a community by getting out there, what you're doing in terms of this run?
You're right. I do stand out in significant ways. I'm the only working mom who understands what it's like to pay more for childcare than a mortgage. That was me. I lived through that. I'm the only Spanish speaker, fluent in Spanish, that can speak to a large percentage of our population here in the 7th and can connect with them in a very genuine, authentic way, not manufactured. I'm the only woman who understands the implications of a tax on reproductive rights firsthand. I am the only immigrant that understands the immigration system and what it's going to take to stand up to Trump's ICE. And I'm the only energy engineer that's worked on lowering costs for families.
Ryan Crosswell, so as a U.S. attorney, which is a pretty heavy deal, you're ready, obviously, to Washington. I want to talk to you about Social Security, if you will. Can we, it's in rough shape. Certainly in the near future, we're going to be facing some serious issues. Your thoughts on can we save it and how would we do it?
We need to save it. I've been paying into Social Security since I started working when I was 12 years old. My dad's small business. Look, this is a contract that's been made with every American, but in order to preserve it, we need major tax reform. That means the wealthiest Americans need to start paying taxes on their capital gains, and they need to pay taxes in the business, the largest business need to pay more, so the smaller businesses can pay less. That is the only way we're going to work through this affordability crisis in a long-term manner, and it's the only way we're going to be able to continue to keep that bond, to keep that contract, and continue to provide Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. It's a promise we've made to every American. We need to keep it.
So to that point, Bob Brooks, the old trickle-down economics from your perspective ain't working so well?
It's never worked, Tony. It's never worked. But on the Social Security thing, in the first responder world, we just passed a bill called the WFGPO in Washington. I was extremely important a part of that. And what that did is allow first responders to be able to collect on Social Security, which is something we've been paying into for years. So I will agree with Ryan. These billionaires are paying, not even that, they're only paying the first $176,000 of their income. Like, if we expand that and change the tax code, expand that and get that to maybe 5% or whatever, we can cover Social Security for the next 100 years.
Lamont, I want to stay on Social Security because, again, important to you having run the other care facility. What can we do to make people, many of them in the audience, hey, me included, feel secure that the money will be there in the future?
Yeah, Tony, I think it's going to, because I don't think Congress is going to have any choice but to make sure Social Security is protected. And, we're talking about very important things in this race. Democracy, the economy. These are the issues that dominate the things that we're talking about. But recently, I've started leaning into the protection of Social Security and Medicare. Because if there's one thing that we all need to be focused on as we look forward to the fall and defeating Mackenzie, it's that we must protect the seniors of PA7. That needs to be our first priority. Restore Medicaid cuts. Protect Social Security, because they are coming for Medicare. They have said they're coming for Medicare, and you have to believe them, and Mackenzie would vote to cut it.
Okay, Ryan, I want to ask you, Ryan Crosswell. I think we'll go right across on this one. I look, the previous election, which was a surprise, we flipped the House, if you will, and Carbon County was hugely important. And the numbers are different in Carbon County, more R's than D's, and a lot of independents. I want to ask you, do you feel when you get to the general election that you can stay in the lane that you're in, or do you have to adjust? Because it's about then, at that point, a general election, a different makeup, not just Democrats. Your thoughts on, can you stay true to where you are?
Of course. Look, we had an event in Carbon County. All 4 of us spoke, and they could sign the petitions of the candidate they wanted to support. There's about 55 people in that gym. Over half of them signed for me. The bottom line is, in our reddest parts of this district, they respect military, they respect law enforcement. I have 27 combined years of both. That's really important because we need to win this seat back. And so I'm going to be consistent with who I am. It's a lesson I learned very early on as a prosecutor. Your credibility is the most important thing. My message is this: I will fight for you, I will fight for affordability, I will fight to protect our rights, and I will fight for the people of Lehigh Valley, and I will have a spine unlike Ryan Mackenzie.
Carol Obando, again, you have a close relationship with Susan Wild, and Carbon County was tough on her. My question is, in that previous election, what would you do to sort of make sure that you get those numbers up, and how important is that, or can you do it here in the Valley?
I go to all corners of the district and talk about my own experience of understanding the struggles that working families face because I've lived them. And that's important to everyone. It's important that they understand, that I get them, that I know what it was like to pay more for childcare than my mortgage, that I understand what it's like to sit at the kitchen table and try to figure out how all this was going to add up. I'm in a multi-generational home. I have my parents aging in place. I have school-age children, so I talk a lot about that. I also talk about my experience helping people get ahead, that I've helped prepare young people for the workforce, that I've helped lower utility costs as an engineer.
Right.
And that counts. That is something that they can relate to me.
Gotcha. Lamont, I want to miss this. I want to get all, again, Carbon. I'm saying this because literally the election almost hinged on Carbon, the last election. Weatherly's your hometown. Your thoughts on Carbon County?
Well, I don't know that everybody knows that Weatherly is in Carbon County, but it is. I'm a 1988 graduate of Weatherly Area High School. My late dad was the housing authority director in that small county for 40 years before he passed away. My mom was the first woman to be president of her school board. So our roots run very deep in Carbon County. It's where I grew up. The percentage basis that Mackenzie defeated Susan was 70-30. And that gave him about the margin he needed to upset her by 1%. Gotcha. If I'm our nominee, Mackenzie is toast. He is not beating me 70-30 in a county can rightfully call me a favorite son.
Gotcha. Bob Brooks, I got to say, I'm sure you would sell well there. Your thoughts on Carbon County and the realization, again, this will be the last question on that, but I want to make sure it was hugely important. It literally was the election was all about, in the end, almost Carbon County.
Carbon County is just equally as important as Lehigh County, Northampton County, Monroe County. All those pieces of this district are important. I think I had the unique ability to talk to the people of Carbon County, as we're talking about specifically. I've lived a life that they are continuing to live. They see the gas prices rising, the grocery store prices going up. My son, the youth is very important. It's very important here and up there. You know, my son came out of a Penn State satellite campus with over $105,000 in debt. That was my first home. Like, we have to provide a light at the end of the tunnel for these people, whether they're youth, whether they're adults in Carbon County or Monroe County. We have to provide a light at the end of the tunnel, and right now, they just don't see it.
Well, first of all, let me just say that we could do 10 hours, and this goes fast, and I'm, again, thankful for all of you. We will have a part 2, and I want to mention that, so stay with us. We got a great audience, by the way. Let's hear it for this audience. Thank you so much. And I want to say to all you, we will be back with part 2 of Business Matters next week. Business Matters, stay with us, and we'll see you next week.
Business Matters starts now.
Hey, good evening, Business Matters. We're back here for part two here at Moravian University with four incredible people. I thank you all. Thank you so much. As I mentioned in part one, I totally respect what you do and your commitment. I'm thankful for it. I'll start with you, Carol Obando-Derstine. I want to make sure I got that right. There you go. Derstine, I got you. You were, of course, worked for PPL and understand energy industry, and you know with data centers we're going to have challenges. Are you open to other types of, whether it be nuclear, oil, other kinds of generation of power that we're going to need?
We have to look at a lot of different forms of energy because right now we are having a resource adequacy issue and we have an unprecedented demand. We've never seen something like this before. And that's why it's important to have energy experts like me in Congress to navigate this moment. We a lot of times talk about wind and solar, and we need to have someone that goes to Congress and restores those subsidies for clean energy so families can be able to afford solar, and it helps them reduce their energy bills. So we need to make sure that we are also looking at other forms of energy like waste to energy and anaerobic digesters, and that's what I promote a lot on the campaign trail.
Lamont, McClure, data centers proposed in Northampton County, which was your county. Concerns about the good news is we need that going forward, but can we energize it is the question.
So here's what my concern is. Our utility bills, and specifically our electric bills, or light bills like they used to call them, are through the roof. I don't think anybody here thinks their light bill is affordable, and it's only getting worse. That's why earlier this year, when PPL had a rate increase in front of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, I went and testified against that rate increase. That rate increase has since been pared back and been accepted. I don't think my testimony had anything to do with that, but the hundreds and hundreds of consumers and small businesses who showed up like I did. It doesn't matter if you're Met Ed or PPL, our utility rates are going through the roof, and our folks can't afford their utilities.
Are you open to a more diverse selection? I mean, you open to nuclear, those kinds of things?
Tony, absolutely. I've required, during my time as county executive, that all new county construction projects have affordable energy components. Gotcha. Solar on the Forensic Center, solar on that new garage tower is going to finish, and I was working on bringing small-scale hydroelectric power back to the Lehigh when I left office. Okay.
All right, Ryan, I want to ask you this, if I could. Our relationship with Israel was always a slam dunk. And that's changing. And your thoughts, where are we with Israel from your perspective? To align, we should be more challenging relative to our joint initiatives?
Yeah, so look, 1 month before the attacks on October 7th, I visited Israel and the West Bank with my parents. And when I was in the Golan Heights with my Israeli tour guide, he talked about how he wished he could travel to Damascus in peace. And when I was with the Palestinian family in the West Bank, they talked about how they wished they could travel through Israel more freely. This has been hard. The attacks on October 7th were obviously gruesome. What has happened in Gaza is terrible. And so I do believe Israel is an important ally. But like any ally, they do need to obey international law, and any alliance that we have with any country always needs to be reevaluated.
Bob Brooks, that same question in a sense. Our relationship with Israel, we should be checking it, or at least maybe being more inquisitive relative to what we go into in the future?
Well, as I think you'd hear across the board here, October 7th was horrible, but we need to concentrate more on the humanitarian aid that needs to get into Gaza, and that's just not being done. I mean, at the end of the day, Israel needs to follow international law, the laws that were put in place by President Obama. If they don't, then they get held accountable. I mean, it's just like anything else. So, we need to maintain, they have the right to defend themselves for sure, but we need to maintain and concentrate on getting humanitarian aid into Gaza and saving people's lives and go from there.
All right, I want to, this question I want to, so last week on this show we had Senators McCormick and Senators Fetterman, and Senator Fetterman, of course, your thoughts on Senator Fetterman, is he a person who is willing to speak his mind, or has he in fact abandoned the Democratic Party?
First off, I'm not allowed to wear a hoodie anymore. That being said, Senator Fetterman, I haven't spoken to him in over a year. I haven't been able to get in contact with him since I went down to our legislative conference and sat with him last year. I don't even know what to say about the man. I think some things have changed in his life that have made him take different opinions, and I don't know why.
So he concerns you, but you see what he's been through? Is that your sort of empathy?
It concerns me at all levels.
Gotcha. All right. Lamont, same question.
I endorsed Connor Lamb in that primary.
Okay. Very good. Carol Obando-Derstine.
So I have a problem with people who say one thing and do another. And so that's what I'm seeing from him. And he campaigned on certain issues and then he's doing something else. With me, for example, I have lived my values and no one will be confused about what I stand for. I've done that my whole life. I've helped people get ahead and I have lived my values, and no one in this district will be confused about what I stand for, and that's why I'm ready to go to Congress to keep fighting for our district, because that's what I've done my whole career here for 2 decades. I have roots here, and that's who I'll be.
Ryan Crosswell, same question.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last time we picked a guy in hoodie over the Marine and federal prosecutor, we all lived to regret it, so I wish Connor had won too. Look, I believe that compromise is important always, but I think John Fetterman thinks that he's doing something noble by just totally turning on his values in general. It's not acceptable. And so for me, I think what the Democratic Party needs to do more is we need to advocate in a way that lands with independents and Republicans. That's explaining that when we cut renewable energy sources, it makes energy go up. That's explaining that jacking up national debt is being invoiced to our kids. And that's explaining that when we use ICE in deportation matters in this way, we're diverting law enforcement from more serious crimes.
Gotcha. Lamont, McClure, there is a pretty wide divergence in terms of money raised for this race. Some people much more than others. Your thoughts, how important does that reflect on the credibility of a candidate?
First of all, I think we need to get big money out of politics. I mean, that is absolutely... I believe, based on the Citizens United decision from the Supreme Court, which incredibly to me, baffling to me, the Supreme Court said that corporations are people and have First Amendment rights and therefore should be able to give unlimited amounts of money to campaigns. No, we need to have a constitutional amendment overturning Citizens United so we can get big money out of campaigns.
Carol Obando-Derstine, also, again, a little lower in terms of numbers raised. Your thoughts on that, and what does that mean as a candidate? How important is it?
I also wholeheartedly agree that there's just too much money in politics, and it drowns out folks that have a really important message to talk about. And I'm grateful for the people that I have connected with on the campaign trail that understand that I get them. I've lived their struggles, and they're willing to be part of this broad coalition that we're building. I'm tapping into the strengths and diversity of our district like none of the other candidates can, because I mentioned I'm the only working mom, I'm the only woman, I'm the only immigrant who has lived the immigration system and understands it firsthand and can go against Trump's ICE like no one else can.
Bob Brooks, you have had a good run in terms of raising money. I would assume no apologies. That means you're a viable candidate from your perspective?
I assume so. I think so, yes. The fact of the matter is, you can't, what do they say, you can't hate the player, you hate the game, right? I don't like the game, and I think Citizens United should be done away with. You know, we have a bunch of lawyers in D.C.
So you're saying you don't like the game, but you're in it.
You're in the game. You got to play the game. You got to play the hand you're dealt, and that's what we're dealt, and it takes work. And that's what it takes. It takes a lot of work. So my Rolodex is not full of rich people. Yeah. It's not. You need help. You need to get there. You need to put in the time. You get on the phones. You got to knock the doors. You got to do what you got to do to win the game.
Ryan Crosswell, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Right.
Ryan Crosswell, you are the front runner in terms of monies raised. Are you surprised as a new candidate? And again, your thoughts on that with no apologies, I would assume.
Well, no, so first, let's talk about campaign finance. Donald Trump got rid of my section when he came into office. We were the prosecutors that prosecuted campaign finance. So I am the only person on this stage that has actually prosecuted those cases. I am the one person that Pam Bondi and Steve Miller do not want you to send to Congress. Secondly, I have raised more than every other candidate on the stage combined last quarter, and I've done it without riding anyone's coattails. And I was the first one to take a pledge to accept no corporate PAC money. That's because people around the country have seen my story, they believe in it, and they're willing to invest small dollar donations. I don't like all the money in politics, but we needed to beat Ryan Mackenzie, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
All right. They handed me a lot of questions. When you have ADHD, that throws me for a loop. But here we go. We'll give this a shot. And I'll start with you, Carol Obando-Derstine, because I want to make sure, again, by the way, they're in my ear. We're up to seconds in terms of equal time, and that's something we pride ourselves on. Do you find the Christian nationalism to be an imminent threat to our democracy? If so, what would you do about it?
Oh, that is a good question.
Yeah, yes, a good one. Sorry.
Fundamentally,
do you want to stick with my questions? It's just no, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, because we're a nation of immigrants and all walks of life, and it's important to recognize that everyone comes here with different beliefs, and this is a melting pot. This is why my parents sacrificed it all for the opportunity to come here. They had lived through a violent civil war in Colombia. We even lived on a floor with one bathroom and about a dozen relatives, because that's what starting over looked like, that's what survival looked like, and that's what it took to achieve the American dream. So we need to make sure that we have a nation that is tolerant, and I want to go to Congress to ensure that we have laws that protect people's right to believe and love who they want to love and think how they want to think without hurting anyone.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to make sure I don't want to cut off the applause. Your thoughts on that very subject in terms of religious tolerance?
I believe in the separation of church and state. I also believe you should be able to come to this country and pray to any God you so choose, and none if you so choose that also. I don't think one denomination, one religion should be able to control our country.
Lamont or Ryan, anybody want to touch on that one? Anybody want to touch on that one, either you or Ryan? Or on to the next question? Yep. Okay, very good. Another question, what would you do to protect trans people in Pennsylvania and the entire U.S. relative to both in general as well as sports? I'll start with you, Ryan.
Sure. So, by the way, yesterday, Transgender Visibility Day, an important reminder. It also happened to be the same day that a friend of mine who was transgender, her military career ended. And that was someone that could kill a bad guy from 500 meters just because of her sexual identification. It makes us all less safe. It's unacceptable. I joined the Marine Corps because I hate bullies. And that's what this has been. And I've talked to parents of transgender members of our community, and their kids are scared. That is absolute crap. So the first thing we can do is we can speak up as members of Congress. We can grow a spine. Ryan Mackenzie, not asking you to give us a lung, asking us to grow a spine.
All right. Go ahead, Lamont.
So one of the very first things I did when I became county executive was add gender ID, gender expression, to the protections in our personnel policy manual, because they were not there previously. So I actually made, as part of our governing regulations in Northampton County, protections for our employees should they be transgender. So here you have another example of things I've done that signal what I would do as a member of Congress.
Gotcha. All right. Want to ask the question of all of you, if you will. So, got an applause, so we got it. Okay, I want to ask the question. So, at some point, one of you will be chosen, and you'll be in a race in the general election. Your thoughts on your movement? There are a lot of independents, about 15% independents. Your thoughts in terms of your policies? You're going to need them. Can you bring them into your fold? Bob Brooks.
100%. I have that unique ability to talk to the people that are living the same lives that I'm living, whether it's struggling to put gas in their truck, food on the table, pay for child care. I watch my granddaughters. I try and do it once a week still, to try and take them and take some pressure off my son and daughter-in-law of what they have to pay for childcare. So, like, I see what people are going through and living through, and I'm able to talk to those people, those independents, those moderate Republicans. Let's face the fact, they've been leaving our party in droves, right? People just like me, people that look like me and act like me and work like me have been leaving this party, and we need to bring them back, and I think I can do that.
Gotcha. Lamont, McClure.
So, I was the county executive in one of the most, if not the most, purple counties in the country.
Literally a bell ringer.
Trump has actually won it, unfortunately, 2 of 3 times, narrowly. So in Northampton County, you must walk a middle path. And one of the things that I have done is cut middle class taxes. In 2022, I cut property taxes for the middle class. To date, That cut in property taxes has returned $25 million to the people of Northampton County. So I think in a general election, it's going to be very difficult for Mackenzie to demonize me as sort of a classic tax and spend liberal, because I want to go to D.C. to cut taxes for the middle class.
Gotcha. All right. Carol Obando-Derstine. And you can feel free to clap, by the way. It's all yours. Go ahead, Carol.
A lot of people feel like no one's listening to them. And I understand the struggles that they face. I lived through empty wallets, sacrifices, and language barriers. But what I did, once I climbed out, I never pulled the ladder up from under me. I got to work. And that's what they want to see. They want to see someone that has a track record of helping people get ahead. I prepared young people for jobs. People say the best anti-poverty program is a good paying job. That's what I was doing. I taught at Northampton Community College, helping people prepare for jobs. And I connected people to the services they needed here in the district when I worked for Senator Casey. And then when I went to work at an electric utility, I helped people lower their bills. I have a track record, and I'll keep doing that in Congress.
Ryan Crosswell, thank you. Same question.
So look, I son of a small business owner, special education teacher, grew up in a working class town too. Went to college at Vanderbilt, went to law school at Duke, and then I joined the Marine Corps because I didn't want to be on the sidelines during two wars. Independents and Republicans, they respect that. There's no value better than a military vet when you're running as a Democrat. Studies show it. But beyond that, we have the proof in the pudding. I have done dozens of meet and greets, and I have 11 scheduled in the month of April. And every single one that we do, we have people registering as Democrats, from independents, from Republicans, because they respect the fact that I stood on principle and resigned to uphold my oath when I was at the Justice Department. I can bring these voters over.
Lamont, why do you think so many young people, or many more people, are becoming independents? And your thoughts on that?
So I think that the younger folks don't want to necessarily identify by name with a particular political party right now. They want us to prove it to them. And as Democrats, we need to do that. We need to fight for them, to demonstrate to them that we'll fight back and restore those $1 trillion of Medicaid cuts, that we'll restore those hundreds of millions of dollars of SNAP cuts. And we haven't really talked about it today, but healthcare, we need to extend those Affordable Care Act tax credits, because thousands of people are losing their health care right here in Pennsylvania 7. So the way we get those young people to register as Democrats is to go to Washington and get work done.
Gotcha. Very good. All right. Bob Brooks, same question. A lot of younger people, a lot of people in general, are going into no party. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's because nobody's given them a reason to think about one party or the other. They're going in independence. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I got the Lehigh Valley Democrats have endorsed me. My friend Aiden Gonzalez, who was in this race not too long ago, when he didn't make the ballot, endorsed me. So those are the youth people. My team is built of 26-year-old, 29-year-old, 28-year-old. Like, they're good people that want to be involved in this game, but we haven't given them reason to want to be. That's what we have to give them. I talked about earlier, the light at the end of the tunnel. When they're coming out of college with these huge debts and 90% interest rates, like, that can't happen. We need to change that. They can't buy a house now. It used to be 26 years, now it's 40 years old. They shouldn't have to wait till midlife to start buying houses.
Ryan, I want to ask you, Ryan Crosswell, again, big job, U.S. Attorney, Marine, and so on, but I want to ask you, because you know it's coming during the election, your thoughts on changing parties, and does that mean you're an independent thinker, and in fact you had enough of whatever this president was doing, and that's why you switched?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a purple household. Mom was a Democrat, Dad was a Republican. Mom was always right. I was a registered Republican, voted for Hillary, voted for Biden, voted for Kamala. Always been pro-choice. There's a picture of me on my website with my niece protesting the Dobbs decision. But I think this really helps in the general, because I didn't come here by birthright. I came here because I see a party that's bad for their health, bad for their wealth, bad for their rights, and bad for their democracy, and that is the current GOP. And so when I talk to Republicans and talk to independents, I explain to them, as a Marine, this party, the GOP, is bad for national security, and as a federal prosecutor, it's bad for our streets and our communities. So I think it's very helpful, and it's going to help me win the general election.
Gotcha. Lamont, McClure. So as county executive, you had to work with different parties. How can we tamper this down in your perspective? And should we, and do we need to? Or is it party politics, and to get things done, you need to pursue that lane?
Well, so I think you can hold those two thoughts independently in your mind. Right now, Trump has created a crisis, not just domestically, but internationally, and Trump needs to be opposed at every step. That's a non-negotiable for now. Trump, in my view, is trying to dismantle our democracy, and he's trying to crush our economy. And until we can stop him from doing that, it's going to be very difficult for us to move forward doing the things we need to do, like health care. No one should go broke because they have health bills, right? That shouldn't happen in the United States of America. If we could spend $1 billion a day sending missiles into Iran, we can have health care for our citizens in the United States.
Bob Brooks, kind of the same question. Would you be willing or open to sort of tamping some of the angst down, if you will, the acrimony down, or is that what's needed to get things done today?
I've been a prominent person in saying you got to fight fire with fire. No pun intended, Tony.
It's a fireman joke.
But if they want to roll around in the mud, then you got to be willing to roll around in the mud. You can't, no more, high road when they go low, no more strongly written letters. Like, that can't happen anymore. I agree with Lamont. I've had in the same situation where I had to decide whether I was going to pay the mortgage or pay the medical bills. I paid the medical bills, worried about the mortgage later. Like, nobody should have to make that decision, and that's where we got to get to. But it's going to take somebody willing to fight, somebody willing to get in Trump's face, and somebody to take out Ryan Mackenzie. I think I'm that guy.
So, Carol, the same question. Is there a lane for some kind of tamping down the acrimony, or again, what you're hearing is we got to go full speed ahead?
The problem is that Trump never has a plan and doesn't have exit strategies. And we're seeing that in Iran. He is not laser focused on what's happening here, which is allowing people to afford the essentials like housing, healthcare, groceries, utilities, and family care. And what we need is someone in Congress that is laser focused on that and is holding him accountable. And that's not what we're seeing from Ryan Mackenzie. And I want to go to Congress to focus on you because you're my priority.
There you go. Ryan Crosswell, real quick, another question. I almost run out of time. I want to make sure you get a chance on that question. Open to some tamping down the acrimony, or you're going down there to fight the fight?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think we need to understand how tired people are of losing friends and family over politics. It's so sad. And I'm not going to treat Republican like a four-letter word. Like I said, our campaign is doing more meet and greets than any other candidate, probably combined. And I say to these voters,
I'm sorry?
well, unless you're not putting it on your social media, which wouldn't make any sense. So, and everyone, I have an independent or Republican switching registration. And one, there was 6 people. And the point is, I don't care how you voted in 2024. If you are willing to have the scales drop from your eyes and see the grift that is going on, welcome. Come over, come to the right side, register as Democrat, and vote for me, please. Thank you.
All right. I am running out of time. Before I do, though, give them close. Can we have a hand for that? I mean, this is an easy work. I want to thank all of you. So, thank you. There is your camera. So we go in reverse. Ryan Crosswell, your closing 30 seconds, closing remark. That's your camera. That's your audience.
Thank you. Look, it is bleak right now in this No Kings moment, but there's something about this country. We have been through darker times, and we have risen out of them, and we can get through this too if we are willing to fight. You're not here for you. You're here for your kids, your grandkids, your sisters, your brothers, your neighbors. You're here for the fathers and grandfathers no longer here who fought in a world war for this democracy. As I testified to Congress, every citizen must have a line in the sand that cannot be crossed. I drew that line. I'll draw that line in Congress. I would be honored to represent you. Thank you so much.
Carol Obando-Derstine.
Listen, I understand the struggles that working families face because I've lived them, but I also know the strengths of our community because I've worked alongside them. I have over 22 years here in the district helping people get ahead, and that's what I'll keep fighting for. Those are my values, helping people get ahead, and that's what I want to do in Congress. I'm very grateful that Susan Wild, the former Congresswoman, thought that I had the best chance at beating Ryan Mackenzie, and I want to go to Congress to fight for you, and I would be honored to be your next Congresswoman.
Lamont, McClure.
As I said when we started, we're at a point of inflection. Our democracy is under attack. It must be defended by someone who knows how to do that. I did it, and I will. Our economy is being crushed. $4 gasoline today. I know how to get our economy back and rolling. I know how to do this because I've done it for 8 years as county executive. I cut property taxes, I balanced budgets, and I preserved open space and environmentally sensitive land. And I'm going to take all that experience and the courage that I have fighting Trump, MAGA, and ICE to D.C. for you.
Bob Brooks, close us out.
Listen, this was not on my bingo card. This was not something I wanted to do. But when I got tapped on the shoulder by Congressman Chris DeLuzio and Governor Josh Shapiro and asked to get involved and look at this race, I did it. And I decided at that point in time that I was making the move and I was going to be the guy that was going to go out and take on Ryan Mackenzie and beat him. What I can tell you is at the end of this race, there is nobody, not my granddaughters, not my children, that are going to say Grandpa stood quiet. That's not going to happen.
All right, wow. Let's hear it for these people. Unbelievable. Thank you all. By the way, thank you for being with us, and thank you in the audience for being with us. And don't forget, if it's business, it matters, and we'll see you next week.